So the Vanguard has asked the members of the City Council to lay out their vision for the City of Davis. I offer this as a vision among many that I hope will be joined with your thoughts and the thoughts of my colleagues to form something that transcends what each of us has individually. I also want to say that in laying out a vision as an elected official, I'm not articulating or believe that every element of my vision needs to be brought about by the active policymakers or the city government. In fact, many of the things that I think we need to do as a city are things outside the purview of government. So keep that in mind as I share it. I think I would start my statement of my vision for the city by saying it's really a localist vision that transcends the boundaries of the city. We live in a bioregion. We live in a region where we share water and land resources with other cities, and that makes up the space of our home. It's a space that we depend on. Beyond the natural resources, our justice system, our social service system, even things like how we deal with waste. These are issues that are not just Davis-specific, but region-specific. And I think what my vision is that we participate in our region as faithful partners, whether it's groundwater management, which we're beginning to take on, whether it's managing and dealing with land use policies to conserve this valuable resource of our farmland. We need to be faithful partners, engaging our neighbors in discussions on how to move forward to create health in all of our communities, not just our own. But pulling it back to Davis, I really believe that the vision that we need encompasses the social, physical, environmental, and economic health of our city. Sometimes people will say you need to get your economic house in order before you can deal with these other issues. I don't believe that. I've lived in places in the world where with very few economic resources, people have created communities that are thriving because they have deep social ties and strong social health, because they are managing their natural resources in a sustainable way. And so I don't put any of these, the economic, the social, the environmental, as more important than the other. They make up a whole. But let's look at them. My hope and my vision for a socially and physically healthy space is that we're a space we're a community that knows how to manage conflict in an appropriate way. When we make decisions in a constrained environment, which we always do, conflict is a normal part of that. Competing visions of what the best way is to go forward and how to achieve that vision in actual policy and practical steps will always lead to some amount of conflict. We can't deny that, but we shouldn't neglect it and we shouldn't push it aside. We need ways of engaging conflict in a productive way. We have the tools to do that. We have the tools to engage in good conflict transformation. We need to create dialogue spaces so that we don't avoid discussion, but we engage in our differences to find a way forward. And then we also need to be a restorative city, a city that understands the importance of welcoming those who do us harms back into our community. We need to encourage people that have caused harms to acknowledge those harms, and then to take responsibility for making them as right as possible. Again, we have the tools to do this, and my vision is we'll be a stronger city because we are not afraid to engage those issues and move forward. We've had 6 heroin overdose deaths in our community over the last year. Anyone who's worked on neighborhood courts knows that we have a real problem of alcohol addiction in our community. So physically and socially, we have some serious challenges. But I believe that if we are willing to engage them and look at the evidence of how to deal with them, that we can create health, but we need to acknowledge the challenges we face. I think our physical and social health is really linked to the second area of health, which would be our environment. We have this beautiful space that if we are willing to move about it and to get our bodies moving in it, that we can enjoy good physical health, we can enjoy good mental health, but we need to maintain an environment that's inviting for people to move about in outside and engage in the beauty of our nature around us. My vision is that we'll be people that will not be afraid to live closer to home, to not live or believe we can live a limitless lifestyle that takes us to every corner of the planet, but that we live lifestyles that are focused on learning about our bioregion, the place that we love. The result of that is that we'll be people that will use fewer natural resources and will use them in a more responsible way, and that our greenhouse gas emissions will be reduced. We have aggressive climate action plan, and it's because we understand that there is evidence that there is such a thing as man-made climate change. And we've got to be able to make decisions that enable us to thrive within this space, not preserving as a museum piece, but conserving the resources we have for future generations. In terms of our economic health, it's not sexy to say, but we won't be economically healthy if we don't learn to pay for the things we already have. So my vision for our economic health actually begins by saying, let's take the amenities we have, let's count the cost of maintaining them, and let's figure out a way to budget for them so it's built into the way we think about our future. People in my position, we like to build new things. But really what we need, our vision now needs to be making sure we take care of what we already have. There's been a lot of talk about the innovation parks, and I realize that we need to talk about that. Innovation parks, business parks, industrial parks. I think we need to be careful. These are not an end. They're a means to an end. Our economic health, I believe, requires us to have a vision that the people in our community will have meaningful work, jobs that match their skills and gifts and talents with positions in which they can contribute to the common good of the community. Our economic vision needs to be about providing meaningful work. It's what we as humans want. We want to contribute. An innovation park may be a means to that end, but it's not the end. The end is creating good jobs and opportunities for people to serve here. And then if innovation parks help us get there, which I believe they can, then we need to ask whether they will actually contribute a revenue stream to our city to keep it whole and to keep it healthy in that way. I also think we need to address and have a vision for providing housing for the people that work in our community. And that's a huge challenge, but we need to be able to provide housing for families, for students, for the people who come here and share their gifts with us, long-term or short-term. And then I think we also, and I would be remiss if I didn't add, that our economic future is absolutely, and our economic vision therefore is absolutely tied in to the future of the university, our twin city next door. We need to have an honest and frank partnership. My vision is for a partnership that is not afraid to acknowledge the challenges that we share as we each seek our way forward in achieving our mission. That we have that frank discussion about where we want to go, and we are willing to name the externalities, positive and negative, that flow from that relationship and seek to deal with them. It takes a frank relationship. It takes a frank partnership. It takes dialogue at that level. It can't be a neglected relationship. Anyway, those are some of the elements of my vision. I don't ask you to join it. I ask you to complete it, to critique it, to challenge me about it, to correct me in things that I don't fully understand, but to join me so that we together can create a vision for our city moving forward. In the three and a quarter years I have left on the council, and I am cognizant of how quickly that time is going away, I hope to be able to advance policies and direction that will help move that vision forward. But it has to be a collective vision that we all own. I thank you for listening, and I would encourage you to critique it, and I'm really seeking your feedback. So thanks a lot.